Alright, so made a few other charge dash videos, but this one is the one I'm going to least start. Most of those other videos have been about the crit setup, and I'm going to show non-crit setup, elemental overload, and a few optimizations I think that can be made with this. So, first of all, skills. Charge dash, if you've seen it at all or any videos about it, it's a neat skill. It's very different. You use it and channel controlling a ghost that runs forward. As you channel, it deals waves of damage on that line, and then once you hit the end of the line, you channel and just does bigger pulses. So ideally for big stuff, you stand there and channel, but often you'll just be running and popping packs of mobs. So the big thing is charge dash here. Fuse channeling is really good with it. We just have some other random utility things for the most part. Ancestral Protector gives us attack speed, gives us a little damage. We put faster attacks and blind on it for utility. Lightning Golem is blends in on here twice, but Lightning Golem is attack speed, just more utility things. Shield Charge gives you Fortify. Right now I have the auras all set up as defensive ones. Purity of Elements, it kind of feels bad, but it makes it a lot easier with the item setup that we have, and you'll see why in a little bit. Grace is just a big chunk of evasion. You can see down here it's 20,000 evasion, which just for the evade chance isn't all that much. Like 9% more chance to not get hit, but it combos really well with the Trickster Ghost Shrouds, which we'll talk about in a bit. Wave of Conviction gives lightning exposure. Conductivity gives negative lightning resist. This is just more damage, usually on bosses or stronger things. And this is just a little gem setup I threw in here because I was trying to make it work, but I don't think it does. Or if it does, maybe I'll figure it out later once the new discharge is in here, and I don't know, maybe I want to play around with it some. Because in theory, you get a lot of lightning damage on your attacks, but then we could grab some stuff to also help discharge. Mostly I want to try using Crown of Eyes, because then you can get spell damage, which will help discharge, and it'll convert for more damage for charge dash. And percent increased attack damage is really good when you're using Hand of Wisdom in action, because it's big flat lightning damage, so then getting big percent lightning damage on top of it is really strong. So I might play around with this later in the league, see if I can get something working with discharge, because discharge looks pretty great and we generate charges, so why not? So yeah, general skill setup. There's a lot of room for moving stuff around, like Blood and Sand is here, but like right now this is set up so Enlighten level 3 works, so you can definitely optimize just all of this. If you can get resist on like jewels and stuff, or move the tree around a little, you can drop Purity of Elements for something better, either like Herald of Thunder. This could be Wrath, or whatever the lightning one is. I don't remember. But yeah, just offensive auras instead of defensive ones if you feel you're tanky enough. But plenty of room for improvement. Right now I just have everything as 20/20, nothing special. So, and our DPS, I think, I'm not 100% sure how it's calculated for charge dash. I've seen people on forums talk about, because of the overlap and stuff, it's actually more than what POB shows, but for now, here's what it is, and we'll play around with it and I'll show you how you can get a little bit more. So, skills, let's look at items real quick. So, this being a a league starter. This is not solo self-found friendly. This setup anyway. There's certainly ways that you can do this build, not all uniques, but I think, and if you're reading what these uniques are, you'll see that most of them are very cheap. So like Shaper's Touch is rather cheap, usually like under 10 chaos after the first couple days. Syntrex end up very cheap. Astromantis is like hit or miss, but it's become cheaper with better crafted amulets being available. Parandus rings are under 5 chaos each for the most part. Cyclopean coil, kind of hit or miss for this one. You can get one with less percent attributes for pretty cheap, like 10%. You can also just get a belt with attributes. Xeri's Mirror is like a chaos. Hand of Wisdom in action is usually like a couple. If you want one with 12% intelligence, then it sometimes is a little more, but unnecessary. Vertex, hit or miss, usually ranges between like 12 and 50. With Trickster becoming a little bit more popular the last couple leagues, this is like the budget option for a starting helm, so sometimes it's a little more at the beginning. At Series Splendors, nothing special. Really, we just want a unique chest to pair with Parandus Signets, because you get 2% increased int for each unique item you have. So this ends up being a ton of increased int if you have everything unique. So that's why we're on the whole unique thing. But it gives resist and then good evasion energy shield. So it just helps us stack up our energy shield pretty big. But yeah, so relatively cheap unique items. And then the only real necessary one is Hand of Wisdom in action. Outside of that, everything is up for grabs. Like, if you're not using Parandus Signets, there's no point in having all uniques. Astromantis is cheap. Cheap compared to other int stacking or attribute stacking amulets. So it's there, and that's the same with most of these. Shaper's Touch, Hand of Wisdom in action, Shaper's Touch are probably the two most important pieces, because without Shaper's Touch, our hit chance drops pretty good. So Shaper's Touch is the easy way to get full hit chance. It also gives us a nice boost to energy shield because we have reasonably high strength, and we just benefit from all this stuff. Increased evasion per intelligence, which is big. Accuracy for intelligence, which keeps our hit chance up. So this one's pretty big. But outside of those two, most of all of these could just be replaced with rares that give int, energy shield, evasion. This is the easiest tree, I guess I would say. The tree with like nothing super special besides all these Fertile Mind jewels. So all these jewels here transforms dex in the radius to int. So as we path through here, we get like a whole bunch of little dex nodes on our way to stuff, and so all of them turn into int. So this 20 dex is int, and that's some of the reason why we're going down here, is because this becomes just a 20 int point. Getting these gives us some mana and flax effect, and then 20 strength, 20 int. So all these become like pretty useful. Same down here with this jewel. These are giving us attack damage, move speed, and 20 int. Attack speed, and 10 strength in it. So anyways, these are pretty good. This is one section you can mess around with, like drop these, 8 points, and like mess around with them wherever you want. You can try to get more aura reduction if you want to try to push in some other aura. Could be good. Or you could just drop it into points like this. Like Singular Focus is pretty good damage increase for rather small investment. So, and if you haven't used POB, it's super easy because you can just quickly drop those points, put them back here, and it lets you Control Z to undo and put them back, and then Control Y is redo. So you can just check numbers like that. So you see we dropped 8 points for, like, it's close to the same change. So that might be better. Like, we put them over here. Maybe actually we do the increased effect of infusion because it's probably a little better. And we're about equal to what we were. Yeah, 875 for 8 points. And these 4 points are 850. So this looks better. And you can do that almost anywhere on the tree. So for now I'm just going to leave it here, but we'll probably move it. The nice thing about these though is you're getting move speed and pretty big 10% attack speed. Well, another 4% here. And I don't think these ones give attack speed. Well, they do, 6% attack speed. And this is also attack speed. So that's something to note while you're going through this, is just be careful how much attack speed you remove out of your build, because once your attack speed drops too much, the build just starts feeling bad. Attack and move speed are two pretty big things. So speaking about dropping a bunch of attack speed, so these nodes are nice damage. I think it's 10 points here. Right now we're not using the leech at all. If you wanted to be leech based, you could drop the 3 points to grab Ghost Reaver and take away Wicked Ward. I don't know if Wicked Ward's necessary, but it's kind of a nice quality of life since we don't get hit too often, and then we get to regen through damage. But anyways, so eventually I think the choice is to drop these and pick up a cluster jewel, which this I think is the ideal cluster jewel here. If you can hit a large cluster jewel with 8 int and % increased effect, 25% is fine. It still lets you get 10 int instead of 8 int, but 35% I think pushed it to 11, maybe. Might be 11, and then it increases the lightning damage too. So we're picking the lightning damage one because Supercharge is insane for us. This is maybe the best reason to go non-crit, is because lightning damage with non-crits is lucky. So if your damage range is 1 to 1,000, your average would be 500, but now since it's lucky, it rolls twice. So I think the math puts it like 2/3, somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4. I don't know. But so you're getting a nice % damage boost. If we want to see how much this 1 point adds, we're at 871. It puts us, like, it's huge. It's almost 200,000 DPS, like 25% more DPS for this 1 point. So pretty enormous. I think it's the reason to go non-crit. Well, the reason being this is just such little investment, whereas if you go crit, not only are the crit nodes worse now, but you're having to spend so many points on offensive stuff and miss out on a lot of defensive things. And that's the beauty, I think, of this jewel, is each point, and this is only counting these as 12 and 8, but each point of this is going to be like 1610. Might be 1611. Oh, let's see. So 8 times 0.35, 2.8. I don't know if it'll round that up to 3 for you. So let's say 10 to be safe. So 1610 will be these actually. So if we're grabbing them all, which I think it's worth it, and then just put jewels that give you attributes, damage, whatever you need. If you need more attack speed, grab more attack speed ones like this. If you need resist, like if you use that Crown of the Inward Eye, then get more fire resist because it docks your fire resist. But so all of these are giving us 16% lightning damage and 10 int. Yeah. So it's giving us both offense and defense, and like a good rate of both. So So I think this is a pretty ideal setup. It might even be worth like dropping, I don't know, a handful of things and just doing the same thing over here. The thing is you don't get Supercharged a second time. So maybe instead of Supercharged you get like the shield one with Veteran Defender, which gives you stats and resists. But I think one at least is needed for Supercharge. And you can do it with an 8-1, but it's like why not do 12 or 11 or however many to get as many of these efficient points as you can. So and you can see how much, like, because of our percent increased intelligence, that 8 intelligence is actually giving us 17 intelligence. Hey, how's it going? Sorry. I am not used to having anyone watch me talk, so it's going good. I'm really excited for Heist League, and I didn't play Charge Dash last league, so well maybe I did, and it was just a long time ago. It feels like, but I'm really excited for this one, and I think going back to the non-crit one just feels really safe. So getting these cluster jewel nodes puts us up to 1.3 million DPS. And I think this is where it sits for just a really solid setup. And like I said, there's some points that can move around. I think if we're really optimizing, we're over here, and maybe, so that was 8 points, so then maybe the other 4 start to move towards this big increase with the penetration. Even if we do these 4, it becomes more than what it was. So maybe that's like more of our very end game setup. I have Whispers of Doom allocated now. It used to be in a spot that was pretty costly for us to go to. Now it's in a great spot for us. So instead of just using conductivity, we could replace increased duration with something like elemental weakness. I'm not sure how the new hexes are going to work. So could be elemental weakness. I think probably the ideal setup is just get a corrupted Shaper's Gloves with elemental curse with elemental weakness on it. But again, I don't know if that's going to be working the same or if anything will move around. Another thing that's changing this league is they said they're going to change some of the Watcher's Eye jewels. I don't know if I put one in here. I put a weird one in here. Or maybe it's just changed because of the items. But so previously, the gain percent mana, oh boy. The gain percent mana when affected by clarity mana is ES. So previously this was just enormous for us. Like we could squeeze in clarity pretty easily because we still have 62 mana. And this 15% of our 3000 would give us about 1500 flat ES. So you could almost view this 8000 ES as like a base, and then if you switch to its series Reflection and a Watcher's Eye with the Clarity, which are both quite expensive, like this has been between 7 and like 15 exalts, and then the Watcher's Eye last league was hugely expensive, upwards of like 20 or so, 20 to 40, depending on the time. But those are both things that could push the energy shield higher. So I think that's most of it. I guess as far as the tree goes, one of the big things is you want to get your resist up as soon as possible. it's just nicer to get the resist points earlier, so you're not trying to get gear to compensate for it and then stepping off that. So this one's close, and the pathing can all change at the start. You might even go through some of these life ones. For any energy shield build, it's usually a good idea to spec into some life things and then regret them. I guess I could put that like a leveling tree as far as starting his life. But I would mostly just avoid like these extra things here. Avoid like all these extra stuff. Don't worry about the, well, really most of this chunk down here. Go and get the extra resist and these extra resist is probably what I would focus on. Pick up the int here as you pass it, and elemental overload. Yeah, I guess elemental overload is your first one, and then pat down for these to get the big resists. Because just getting int itself is going to give you damage, and depending on how quick you're going, if you're going a little slower, then you should be able to buy a really cheap Hand of Thought and Motion, which is like the pre-Hand of Wisdom in action. And then with that, you benefit from all this int that you're getting early. So, yep, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions or feedback, sorry I missed that one in the chat. Again, I'm new to streaming and used to having 0 people watching. But, yeah, any questions, let me know. Looking forward to playing tomorrow. I probably won't get to play until evening, but it'll still be fun. So, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.